Om Ajnanatmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsa Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahara Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादां सङ्गरहिता श्रीविशाखान्वितं च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So welcome all for today's class. So we are on verse number 21. So we know in this third chapter we saw that Arjuna asked, what is good, whether I should take renunciation or do some action. So what is better, renunciation or action? That was Arjuna's question. And Krishna answered that action is better than renunciation. So he discouraged premature renunciation. And then he said that anyways, inaction is not natural and you need to actually work for your body. And therefore, a sincere person tries to work. And therefore, if you work for Vishnu, there will be no bondage. And then we saw next section of how Krishna explains how one can go from Karma Kanda to Karma Yoga. And in this way, do different types of yajna in cooperation with demigods and be happy. And then we saw the cycle of sacrifice that from Supreme Lord Vedas come. Vedas describe some actions sacrifice come, and some sacrifices rains come, and from rain food grains come, and from food grains are eaten by living entities by offering to the Supreme Lord. So, and then we saw how life without sacrifice is sinful, and therefore we see that everybody does some sacrifice. And even if one is self-realized, he has to work to set an example. That is the section we are seeing from 1735. And in that, we saw that he has no work, the self-realized person, but still he works. And in that section, now we are going to see verse number 21. Yad yad acharati seshthas tat tat eva taro jana sayat pramanam kurute lokas tat anuvartate. Yat yat, whatever, acharti, he does, shrestha, a respectable leader, tat and that, alone, eva, certainly, itara, common, jana, person, sahi, yat, whichever pramanam, example, kurute does perform, loka, all the world, tat that, anuvartate, follows in the footsteps. Translation. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow. And whatever standards he sets by his exemplary acts, all the world pursues. So, in this world, whatever leaders do, common men generally follow. And therefore, we see all the advertisements and all the media industry will select the leaders who are popular, who are famous, and who have done achieved something in their field. And therefore, the common member people also buy the products, buy the things, and do according to the acts. And therefore, whatever standards the leaders set, they are all by exemplary acts, the world goes in that direction. And therefore, if the leaders are corrupt, then there will be ruination in the whole world. At the same time, the leaders are exemplary, then the whole world will prosper. Purport. People in general always require a leader who can teach the public by practical behavior. So everyone in this world will require leader. There is nobody who doesn't require leader. Leader can be someone who will look forward to and as an ideal role model or whatever it may be. And everybody looks for a leader. So this is a innate need and it cannot be denied. A leader cannot teach the public to stop smoking if he himself smokes. So whatever we do, whatever we talk, there should be something in our acts also. If we don't act according to what we talk, then there's a problem. And therefore, we see so many times that there are some people who are heroes or something, but they do contrary acts. They come in contrary ads and all. So such a people cannot teach public how to stop smoking. He himself smokes. So this is how uh, actually if we see majority of leaders are into wrong habits, and therefore the mass number of people nowadays are in the wrong direction. Lord Chaitanya said the teacher should behave properly before he begins teaching. So one of the issues nowadays is if you have name, fame, and all, you can start speaking in public. Actually, that was not the case. The main is the character. So one who doesn't have character will not speak. But nowadays it does not seem money is everything. Otherwise, according to what Acharya or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, one should behave properly. So therefore, one's character is more important than even one's earning name and fame. One who teaches in that way is called Acharya or an ideal teacher. And therefore, Achar hi prachar, that's what told is whatever you do in your activities is how you preach. Therefore, teacher must follow the principle of Shastra, scripture to teach the common man. So the three parameters is Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So whatever Guru does should be done by the Shastra and should be done by the Sadhu and should be prescribed by the Shastras. So if the Shastras speak otherwise, then there is a problem and that should not be followed. And therefore, we see that a teacher must follow Shastras and then from Shastras one can teach. So if there is no common Shastras or not common ground, it's very difficult to teach because everyone will have his own opinion. And these opinions will have no value if they are not backed by Shastras. The teacher cannot manufacture rules against the principles of revealed scriptures. So, uh, the teacher should not, and these revealed scriptures are also of different types. Some are in the mode of good for the people who are in the mode of goodness, some are for the people who are in the mode of ignorance, and some scriptures are for the people who are in mode of passion. So different scriptures are there for different people. One should know which surprise the scriptures are made for them, and according to that, one should act. The revealed scriptures like Manu Samhita and other similar others are considered standard books to be followed by human society. So from Manushya word has come, and therefore the Manu Samhita is a guidebook for human society. Thus, the leader's teaching should be based on the principles of such standard shastras. One who desires to improve himself must follow the standard rules as they are practiced by the great teachers. The Srimad Bhagavatam also affirms that one should follow in the footsteps of great devotees, and that is the way of progress on the path of spiritual realization. So, the more one aligns to the teachings of Shastras, to the teachings of the previous Acharyas, the more one is advanced. The less one is aligned to this, the less one is advanced. So one's advancement in spiritual life can be seen how much one can follow Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. And for us, especially when Guru is not particularly available in some cases, then the authority or representatives of the Guru, how we follow them, represents how we follow the whole thing. And anything, if we have doubt, we should always get clarification from Shastras. We can always get clarification from Guru. There should be no ambiguity in this, because otherwise, if we practice wrongly, we'll become perfect in then, and that will not help us to reach our desired goal. The Srimad Bhagavatam also affirms. So another thing is we should follow the footsteps. We should not imitate them. There's a whole difference between imitating a person and following the footsteps. So imitating means suppose Sanatan Goswami is chanting 64 rounds, doing Govardhan Parikrama daily, and he eats very, very frugally. He doesn't eat much, whatever comes, and then sleeps on bare ground under a tree, a different tree every day. So if we try to imitate him, within few days we'll be out of this world only. So what we can do, if he is chanting 64 rounds, following his footsteps, we can chant 6, 12, 16, or whatever our capacity is, and gradually we can increase. Similarly, according to the body we have, according to comfort level which is required, we can sleep to a proper place, eat proper food and all, and take the essence that is spiritual life. So we will never be able to imitate pure devotees in our life. And if we do so, we'll risk our spiritual life itself. The king or the executive head of the state, the father and school teacher are all considered to be natural leaders of the innocent public in general. So somebody may question who is the leader. So king, executive head, so father and school teacher. So everybody in this world actually is a leader because somebody or other he is encouraging and somebody is acting according to that person. So parents are generally the leaders for the children, like teachers are generally the leaders for students, and accordingly the leaders are should be behave according to their capacity. All such natural leaders have a great responsibility to their dependents. Therefore, they must be conversant with standard books of moral and spiritual codes. So, all such natural leaders, the trustees nowadays for schools, maybe the principal, the trustees, and for corporate world, the CEO, the board of directors, or what may be. So, these are all actually natural leaders, and they are responsible to dependents. So, if one is a leadership position, generally he has to follow the shastras, otherwise there'll be chaos everywhere. And therefore, one should be very conversant with standard books. And therefore, every leader, maybe principal, maybe teachers, maybe fathers, parents, maybe doctor, or whatever one is, one should definitely read Bhagavad Gita. We should encourage them because this book will contain so many things which will be helpful in the practical spiritual life, and in this way the whole society can be peaceful. Otherwise there will always be chaos in this material world. So this is a very important shloka. If one can remember this is very wonderful shloka. Yajat ashati sesha tattadevatara jana sat pramadam kuruta lokasat anuvartati. So next we will see how Krishna says that for Krishna actually there is no work prescribed, but still he acts. So why? The reason given in the next verse. So let us first take this verse number 22. Name parthasi kartavyam tishu lokeshu kinchana nanavaptam avapyat avaptavyam varta eva cha karmani. Na, not, me, mine, partha, O son of Pritha, asti, there is, kartavyam, prescribed duty, trishu, in the three, lokeshu, planetary systems, kinchana, any, na, nothing, anavaptam, unwanted, avaptavyam, to be gained, varte, I am engaged, eva, certainly, cha, also, karmani, in prescribed duty. Translation. O son of Pritha, there is no work prescribed for me within all the three planetary systems, nor am I in want of anything, nor have I need to obtain anything, and yet I am engaged in prescribed duties. So this is very important thing for us to know that in the above verse, Krishna is saying that everybody has to act according to Shastras, and others follow what the person does, the leaders. And here in the next verse, he is saying, but for me, Shastra is not prescribed anything for me because I do not come under the rules of Shastras. And therefore, when Krishna lifts Govardhan hill, then we should not be imitating such acts. But whatever Krishna says, we can do. So there is no prescribed work for me, and nor am I want of anything. So Krishna is not need of anything. And another thing is, nor I have need to obtain anything. So these three things should be considered for Krishna, and therefore Krishna need not work actually, but still he does according to what duties are there. So he's also engaged in prescribed duties. So he's also setting an example for others. Purport: the supreme personality of Godhead is described in the Vedic literature as follows: Tam Ishwaranam Paramam Maheshwaram tam devatanam paramam cha devatam patim patinam paramam parastat vidama devam bhunesham idayam न तस्य कार्यं कारणं च विद्यते न तत् समश्चाभिधिकास् च दृश्यते परस्य शक्ति विधा श्रूयते स्वाभाविकी ज्ञान बल क्रिया च. The Supreme Lord is the control of all other controllers, and he is the greatest of all diverse planetary leaders. So there are different controllers in this world, like Indra, Chandra, Vayu, Agni, and all. They can control some elements in the material world, but Supreme Lord is control of all such control also, and he is the greatest of all diverse planetary leaders. So there are so many different leaders, and Krishna is leader of all. So everybody, everyone is under his control. All living, all entities are delegated with particular power only by the Supreme Lord. They are not supreme themselves. So, if we see that in this material world, somebody is powerful, somebody has riches, somebody has some any amount of opulence which is better than others, then we should understand this is given by the Supreme Lord only. All entities are delegated with particular power only by the Supreme Lord. They are not supreme themselves. So whenever we bow down to a particular person, actually we are bowing down to Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is there in that living entity as a Paramatma, or he's staying in that body of the living entity. Sorry, not living entity. Living entity is always separate, and Krishna is also always separate. But the body, the material body, which is there in the heart, both are present, the living entity and the Supreme Lord. So whenever we bow down Supreme Lord, and therefore this Supreme Lord is giving all the powers to everybody. And therefore, we should not be envious if somebody has more power or riches than us, because Supreme Lord has given to them. And at the same time, one should not be depressed if one doesn't have such, because Supreme Lord doesn't want us. So Supreme Lord is the greatest friend, well-wisher, and he will do what is needful for all. He is also worshipped by all demigods and the supreme director of all directors. So all the demigods worships Krishna, and therefore we see in different leelas like Govardhan Leela, Brahma Leela, we see that how Indraji and how Brahmaji worships Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he's a supreme director. So all the different things which are carried on in the material world are happening according to direction of Supreme Lord. So therefore, he is translated to all kinds of material leaders and controllers, and is worshipable by all. There is no one greater than him, and he is the supreme cause of all causes. So there is no one greater than him. And whatever happens in the world, so he's the cause of all causes. So ultimate cause is Supreme Personality of Godhead. So immediate cause may be anything, like the rains. The immediate cause may be Indraji is putting the rainfall, but the ultimate cause is Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Supreme Personality of Godhead has made all this arrangement. He has empowered Indra. He has made all these material elements, and then the rain comes. So we should understand that behind everything, the Supreme Lord is always there, and he is the uh, main person. He does not possess a bodily form like that of ordinary living entities. So this one thing is very important. So Krishna may come in this material world, and he may look like one of us, but actually uh, he is not one of us. He's different. So his body is actually spiritual, and we should therefore consider this. There is no difference between his body and the soul. He is absolute. So for us, our body and the soul is different, because our body is material and the soul is spiritual. But what Supreme Personality of God, everything is spiritual. There is no material thing in his body. All his senses are transcendental, and any one of his senses can perform the action of any other sense. So all his senses are transcendental; they are not of material world, and therefore, if we see, he can eat with his eyes. So when we offer a bhoga, he eats with his eyes, and he can impregnate the whole material with his eyes. So just by glance, he can impregnate the whole material world. And therefore, any of his senses can do the work of other senses because he is absolute. He is not on material platform. Therefore, no one is greater than him or equal to him. His potencies are multifarious, and thus his deeds are automatically performed as a natural sequence. So, Setashwara Upanishad 6.7 and 8. So, here also we can see that no one is greater than him or even equal to him. So, therefore, if we equate somebody to Supreme Personality of Godhead, then actually we are doing an offense because nobody is equal to Supreme Personality of Godhead. Since everything is in full opulence in the personality of Godhead and is still and is existing in full truth, there is no duty for the Supreme Personality of Godhead to perform. So whatever Krishna needs, whatever Vishnu needs, is there in full with him, and therefore he does not need anything. And therefore he does not need any duty to perform also. One who must receive the results of work has some designated duty, but one who has nothing to achieve within the three planet systems certainly has no duty. So, when we do some work, actually we are looking for something, we desire some results and fruits and all that, and therefore we need to work. But because Krishna has no duty, because he doesn't want anything, and he is full, and therefore there is no duty for him. And yet Lord Krishna is engaged on the battlefield of Kurukshetra as a leader of the Kshatriyas because the Kshatriyas are duty bound to give protection to the distress. So, after all, if we see, he has no duty still, he is on the battlefield to give right example for others. Although he is above all the regulations of the revealed scriptures, he does not do anything that violates the revealed scriptures. So actually, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna can reverse all the mechanisms of the material world, but still he does not do anything which violates the revealed scriptures. So with this, we can see so many examples in scriptures also. Like if we see, Brahmaji gave the benediction to Hiranyakashipu, the father of Prahlad Maharaj, that nobody can kill you in the day or in the night, nor inside, nor outside, nor in the air, nor in the ground, and nor in the Nursing Purana says nor in the 12 months also. So if Krishna wanted, he could have killed without following the rules and regulations. That means without following the benediction of Brahmaji. So he killed Hiranyakashipu with all the benedictions intact. So he did not kill inside and outside. So just on the entrance of the door. So one leg inside, one outside. So that nor in the day or night, that means in the evening he killed, and nor by any weapons. So he killed by his nails, nor ashtra, nor weapons or anything. And then another was nor by any human beings or animals. So he was half human and half animal. And Nasim Purana also says that nor in the 12 months. So therefore, he created 13th month, that is Pushottam Mas. So if we see, he took care of all the benedictions given by Brahmaji. At the same time, he killed Hiranyakashipu. So therefore, we see he does not do anything that violates the real scriptures. So whatever real scriptures say, he always adheres to that, even though he need not. And therefore, we see the Mosha Lila where pastime takes place, that Jara hunter comes and he hits Krishna by the arrow and Krishna leaves the material world. So actually, Krishna has no material body, therefore there is no need of leaving the material world. So he goes on from this material world in his own spiritual body. But still, because he follows the moral codes or the revealed scriptures, therefore this pastime is been there. So what happens if Krishna does not follow the revealed scriptures or he acts according to his own will? So what happens? यदि ह्यहं न वर्तेयं जातु कर्मणि यतेन्द्रिता मम वर्तमानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्य पार्थ सर्वशः. Yadi, if he certainly, aham I, na do not, varteyam thus engage, jatu ever, karmani in the performance of prescribed duties, atandrita with great care, mama my, vartama path, Anuvartante would follow Manushya, all men, Partha, or son of Pritha, Sarvasha in all respects. Translation. For if I ever failed to engage in carefully performing prescribed duties, O Partha, certainly all men would follow my path. So, if Krishna does not follow uh, to perform prescribed duties, what will happen is everybody will take path, follow the footsteps of Krishna, and this is actually a great loss because this will come in the next verse that the whole world actually will be ruined. So, yeah, the whole world will put into tension. So, this is what will happen. So, let us see the purport if we're going to next verse. Purport: in order to keep the balance of social tranquility for progress in spiritual life, there are traditional family usages meant for every civilized man. So, this social peace is very required. Tranquility is very required if you want to progress spiritual life. So, if our material life is not balanced, like nowadays we see that in families, most families are broken. They have single parent, and so many ceremonies are not being absorbed, like the Shada ceremony or the Garbhadan Sanskar and everything. So many things are not being followed to nowadays, and therefore we see that people are not so much conducive for spiritual life, and even material life is ruined. And therefore, in order to keep balance of social tranquility, for progress in spiritual life, there are traditional family uses meant for every civilized man. So some things are needed. So if one is materially balanced, then one can progress in spiritual life very nicely. Otherwise, it's not so easy. Although such rules and regulations are for the conditioned souls and not Lord Krishna, because he decided to establish the principle of religion, he followed the prescribed rules. So it is said that the king is above the rules, or the owner of the company doesn't have to follow the rules of company. So everybody in the company will have a punch card. They will come in, they will go out. So every time they have to clock and see how many hours they work. But for the owner, he can come at any time and go at any time. He doesn't have to work like the owner, other people. And there are no prescribed rules. The owner can change the rules of whole company. Same way, the king can also change the rules for the state. Similarly, for Krishna, there are no rules, but still, uh, these rules are followed by Krishna because he decided to establish the principle of religion. Therefore, we see in his Dwarka Lila, he did all the rituals morning, evening, after everything, and he followed it very perfectly. Otherwise, common men would follow his footsteps because he is the greatest authority. Otherwise, what will happen is the most people will follow him, and thus their life will be ruined. From the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is understood that Lord Krishna was performing all the religious duties at home and out of home as required of a householder. So after his marriage in the Dwarka, he was performing all the duties as required by the householder. So this we can see in most of the pastimes, like Sudama Brahman when he came in the house of Krishna. So Krishna welcomed him as a Brahmana and then took good care of him. And other places also, Krishna saved so many kings and so many uh, the daughters of king who were kidnapped, and so many places he gave a perfect example of a king at the same time for human being. So next verse, um, what happens if all the people follow the path of Krishna and Krishna does not do prescribed duties? उत्सिदेयुर्इमे लोका न कुर्यां कर्म चेदहं शङ्करस्य च कर्ता स्याम् उपहन्याम ima praja. So, what Arjuna was saying in the first chapter, that if the leaders are being killed, then there'll be Varna Sankara. So, this is what here Krishna is also saying. Utsideyu would be put into ruin. Ime all these loka worlds, na not Kuriyam, I perform karma prescribed duties. Chet, if aham, I, sankarasya of unwanted population, cha, and karta, creator, syam would be upahanyam would destroy, ima, all these praja, living entities. If I do not perform prescribed duties, all these worlds would be put into ruination. I would be the cause of creating unwanted population, and I would thereby destroy the peace of all living beings. So if Krishna does not perform prescribed duties, then what will happen is this world will be put into ruination. And why? Because there will be unwanted population. So increase of population is not a problem, actually. But unwanted population is a problem. Even if the population is less, but it is more of unwanted population than is a problem. Because it destroys the peace. And therefore, Arjuna in the first chapter says that will one Sankara and the peace will be destroyed. So nowadays also we see if more of the people are born like animal, how they are born, then without any samskaras and without any rules and regulations which are followed in grahastha life, then the population will be very violent, very aggressive. And this way, if we see, uh, there are wars going on different communities at different state levels and even country levels. So these wars are being there because the population which is been there are not being taking birth in the right manner. The consciousness of the parents while the conception is not so good, and therefore such a type of people are coming into being. So if we see even in the Bhagavatam also there are special episodes between Diti and Kardam Muni where this Hiranyakashipu and Hiraksha is born. That time also it tells that the time is not proper and the act we are doing is good, but not the proper time and space not there. And therefore we see that such type of people come into being. And these two persons, Hiranyakashipu and Hiraksha, we know that they destroy the peace of the whole world. And like this, nowadays also is happening. Purport, a Varna Shankara is unwanted population which disturbs the peace of general society. So this is not wanted population, unwanted population. So population rise, or if the population is 10 times than the present, it is not a problem. It is a good population. Otherwise, even small population is a problem. In order to check this social disturbance, there are prescribed rules and regulations by which the population can automatically become peaceful and organized for spiritual progress in life. So, some rules and regulations are there. So if they are followed, then this population can be peaceful. When Lord Krishna descends, naturally he deals with such rules and regulations in order to maintain the prestige and necessity of such important performance. So whenever Krishna comes, he follows all such rules and regulations so that we can know the importance of such rules and regulations and we can also follow. The Lord is the father of all living entities, and if the living entities are misguided, indirectly the responsibility goes to the Lord. So, because Lord is our leader and He's the Father, and therefore, if all living entities are misguided, then Lord is responsible. Therefore, whenever there is a general disregard of regulatory principles, the Lord Himself descends and corrects the society. So this we see He does again and again, and in Kali Yuga, we see the problem is increasing, and so many people are asking that why Lord has not descended. So in Kali Yuga, actually, the Lord has descended His holy name, and at the end of Kali Yuga, He'll also descend in Kalki avatar. So that time He will destroy or annihilate all the unwanted population, and again, the next Satyuga will start. So whenever this general discardable principles, the Lord Himself descends and corrects the society. We should, however, note carefully that although we have to follow in the footsteps of the Lord, we still have to remember that we cannot imitate Him. This is very important. Following somebody and imitating somebody is a vast difference. So we cannot follow we can follow anybody by following footsteps, but we cannot imitate. So example is given further. The following imitated are not in the same level. We cannot imitate the Lord by lifting golden hill as the Lord did in his childhood. So we cannot do lifting like golden hill and all the things, and therefore it's impossible for any human being. We have to follow his instructions, but we may not imitate him at any time. So what we need to do is whatever he has said in Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam and all, we need to just follow that. We cannot imitate him. It is impossible. Like the Golden Hill, or for that purpose, most of the pastimes which Krishna does in childhood, killing of Putna to Trinavar and so many things, we cannot do all these things. We don't have such capacities. But whatever is done by Krishna after his marriage and all, so that needs to be worked out properly, followed properly according to the scriptures, rules and regulations. So Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 30, verse number 30-31 affirms, Naitat samacharit jatu manasyapi hya anishvara vinashyati acharam modhyad yatha arudho abdijam visham Ishwaranam vacha satyam tatheva charitam kvachit tesham yat swavacho yuktam buddhimam tat samacharet. One should simply follow the instructions of the Lord and his empowered servants. Their instructions are all good for us, and any intelligent person will perform them as instructed. So, what we need to do is follow the instruction of Lord and also his pure devotees. Like what we are doing is now reading Srila Prabhupada's purport and Prabhupada purport and but plus Krishna's word as Bhagavad Gita. So both we are doing. And then after reading, we also follow what is there in Bhagavad Gita. So it is not just reading Bhagavad Gita. We need to understand and we should apply in our life whatever is needed. So if we apply from what is in Bhagavad Gita, that gives us maximum benefit. Reading will give us some benefit, understanding will give some more benefit, but applying in the life and this gyan will become vigyan. So that is more important, and therefore we should try as much as what we can to gradually implement majority instructions of Bhagavad Gita, uh, and thus make our life successful. And if somebody is intelligent, he will definitely do, because it will help one to go to further progress in the spiritual life. However, one should guard against trying to imitate their actions. So one cannot imitate what they have done. Like one should not try to drink the ocean of poison in imitation of Lord Shiva. So actually, nowadays, so many people are drinking so many drugs and so many things. And when you ask that why you are doing so, he said that Lord Shiva did it. So actually, Lord Shiva did this to save the material world, to save all the living entities, and nothing happened after drinking so much poison. If we immediately and even drink one drop of that poison, we'll be dead. And therefore, we should not imitate. And secondly, we should, in the name of Shivji, we should not try to indulge in sense gratification unnecessarily, which is not required, which is not authorized. So all the drugs and everything we should be avoiding. We should always consider the position of Ishwaras, or those who can actually control the movements of sun and moon, are as superior. So first thing is we should consider that these Ishwaras who are controlling the movements of sun and moon are superior, and therefore their actions cannot be questioned actually. We should not try to question their actions, why they did this and this. We should only learn from them what is needed and gradually progress in our spiritual life. Because sometimes we see their actions are contrary, like we see once moon planet, he uh, kidnapped the wife of his guru and all. So this all things happen there. So we should not point their defects like this, but we should take lessons and we should not try to imitate them. And therefore, because they're Ishwaras and they are being in certain positions, and therefore if they do wrong, they are superior leaders to the Ishwaras who can correct them. So we cannot find fault with them, or we cannot say that they have done all this, I will do. So for superiors, we can sometimes discuss, but we should not have that critical mentality of criticizing them or doing something. We can learn something from them that actually will not do this, but uh, never a time we should disrespect them in any way. Without such power, one cannot imitate the Ishwaras who are super powerful. So because Krishna has given the power to them, then therefore they are super powerful, and because we don't have that power, we should not try to imitate. Lord Shiva drank poison to the extent of swallowing in the ocean, but if a common man tries to drink even a fragment of such potion, he will be killed. There are many pseudo devotees of Lord Shiva who want to indulge in smoking ganja, marijuana, and similarly intoxicating drugs, forgetting that by so imitating the acts of Lord Shiva, they are calling that very near. So when other people try to imitate, and actually Shivji never drank ganja or drugs and everything. He actually drank poison. Poison is different than all these things. Poison is one takes, one will die. These all intoxicants uh, will kill the person gradually, and this is not authorized even by the Shastras. Therefore, if one takes the name of Shiva, then actually one is calling is that very near by taking all these intoxicants. Similarly, there are many pseudo devotees of the Lord Krishna who prefer to imitate the Lord in his Ras Lila or dance of love, forgetting their inability to lift Godhan hill. So there are so many people actually who are actually not devotees but pseudo devotees. They are just namesake devotees, and they imitate Lord in the Ras Lila. So they also perform the Ras Lila, thinking themselves as Krishna and others as Gopis and all things. So actually, this is not good. And we have seen nowadays also there are Garba dances and all which are going on, but actually they are not proper. And we see that so many abortion cases come after the Garba dance and all. So therefore, it should not be done because we cannot lift Golden Hill like him. And there's a whole lecture and a whole purport given by Prabhupada how the Ras Leela performed by Krishna was on the spiritual level, and his age was only 7. Actually, if we see, his age was only 7. At the age of 7 or 8, if we see now, the children don't have that emotion and everything. And all the gopis had their spiritual bodies. And Krishna also had their spiritual bodies in which they performed this last lila. And therefore, it was all spiritual and there was nothing material. What material we have is lust, and it comes nowhere to the love of Supreme Personality Godhead, and therefore we should not try to imitate. And secondly, if we see all the gopis and Krishna, actually they did this pastime so that we can be attracted to them. Because in this material world, if we see, the most powerful thing is sex. And by doing all these pastimes, actually Krishna wants us to be attracted by to him, and not in a perverted way. And third is we cannot understand till we reach that level. So one who is the level of prema or higher levels can understand all these pastimes. Otherwise, we don't have the capacity even to understand this pastime. Therefore, we should not try to imitate. And the name of Krishna is so powerful that it can deliver the whole material world. So if Krishna's name is powerful, how can Krishna do something which is not approved? Therefore, this also point proves that whatever Krishna did in Dasla is not improper or immoral. It was the right thing. And if we see the devotees of Krishna, like Arjuna, the 6 Goswamis and all, they are perfect, perfect Vaishnavas, and they are following the rules and regulations. So we see now Phalena Parichete, we can know the act by the fruits it produces. So the devotees of Krishna are also very, very detached, and they are also, if we see, like renunciants. Like Arjuna went to the Swarga and he was offered the best of enjoyment. But Arjuna said that Urvashi is like my mother. I cannot see in that way. And he was cursed to become a eunuch. He accepted the curse, but he did not uh, did anything wrong. So therefore, we should be very clear. And if somebody argues that Krishna performed Ras Leela and all, then we should be very much knowing Shastra that he did that. Yes, he can do this. Yes, but we cannot imitate because he is Supreme Personality of Godhead and we are tiny jivas. So all these points should be remembered. His age was only 7. They had spiritual bodies, and this is the highest form of prema. It is not lust like what we have in material world. The devotees of Krishna are also exemplary. What to speak of Krishna? So they also do not do any wrong. So like another example is sun. Sun can take water from even stool and even every place, but sun doesn't get contaminated. It gives pure water only. So like this, Krishna will not get contaminated by anything because he is pure. So if Krishna comes in contact with Putana also, so Krishna kills Putana, but at the same time he avoids Putana's spiritual body. So whatever Krishna does with somebody is all good for him person. So whatever we get contact with Krishna is all good, and therefore our relation with Krishna should be anukulya, not pratikul. It should be positive. Like if we see, Kamsa was even taking name of Krishna again and again, but it was in a negative sense. And gopis are also taking name of Krishna, but it is positive sense. So we should be always taking names of Krishna in a mood of devotion and not envy or anything. So this we should consider, and therefore uh, we should know that we cannot imitate the Ras Lila or dance of love. It is best, therefore, that one not try to imitate the powerful, but simply follow the instructions. So we should not try to imitate, but follow the instructions what are given in Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and other books. Nor one try to occupy the post without qualification. So another thing also is that we should not try to occupy the post. Like Krishna is Ishvara, so we should not try to become Ishvara, having all the control and everything. No. There are so many incarnations of God without the power of Supreme God. So nowadays it's a trend or fashion or I don't know what, but so many things, and we seen so many places people declare themselves a god, that I am God or I'll become God or whatever it is. So they don't have the power of God. So they may look very old. They don't have so much ability also. So one cannot even control the natural urges which one has of daily cleaning and all. So if one cannot do that also, then how can be one supreme personality of Godhead? Impossible. But still, so many claim, and there are others who get cheated and think that they are God and they worship them. So cheaters and cheated, both are there in material world. So we should not uh, get into that, and therefore we should only try to please the Supreme Personality Godhead by following the instruction given by Supreme Personality Godhead in the revealed scriptures, and also following the acharyas who have come to deliver this message of Supreme Personality Godhead Krishna to all divinities. So next verse, verse number 25. So from verse number 25, 29, we see the difference between the attached worker and detached worker is given. So attached worker means one who is attached to the results, and detached means one does the work but is not attached to the results. So how to deal with them is all there in from verse number 25, 29. So let us see. सक्ता कर्माणि अविद्वांसो यथा कुर्वन्ति भारत कुर्यात् विद्वांस तथा शक्तस् चिकुर्षुर्लोकसंग्रहम्. Sakta being attached, karmani in prescribed duties, avidvamsa the ignorant, yatha as much as, kurvanti they do, bharata or of bharata, kuryat must do, vidwan the learned, tatha thus, asakta without attachment, Chikurshu designed to lead Loka Sangramam of the people in general. Translation. As the ignorant perform their duties with attachment to results, the learned may similarly act, but without attachment for the sake of leading people on the right path. So the difference is in knowledge. So ignorant also perform their duties, but they have attachment to results that I want this in this. And learned may similarly act, but without attachment. So the activity will be same. So we will see the devotees also working like the same, the outside, but there's a vast difference in the results one will get. Why? Because one is attached to the results and one is not attached. So when one is not attached to the results, one can work in proper consciousness and one can lead the people on the right path. If sometimes one is attached, what will happen is in the middle, if one sees that it's not happening or one will not get the results, one may change, one will do some wrong things or something. But if one is not attached to the results, then what happens is one will, till the end of the thing, one will do the right thing. And therefore, how one should act is one should act but without attachment to results. That doesn't mean that one doesn't aspire for results. One definitely, if somebody is working and we say there is no salary, then who will work? But at the same time, one should not work, oh, I get this much salary, I'll work this much only. That's all. I will not work like this one. Not like this. One should not be attached to results. So one should do whatever act one needs to do. And sometimes what happens is one may have to work very hard and may get some very little salary. So that should not be consideration uh, for working. A person in Krishna consciousness and a person not in Krishna consciousness are differentiated by different desires. A Krishna conscious person does not do anything which is not conducive to development of Krishna consciousness. This is very important. Whatever job we do, whatever activities we perform, it should be conducive to our development of Krishna consciousness. There was one devotee actually who was working in a bar. So he did not have much qualifications and was not so much learned and had a family to take care. So he was working for so many years, but after some time he came in contact with devotees and himself became devotee. And then the question came whether he should work in the bar because there all the activities are not good or conducive for the his growth in spiritual consciousness. And therefore, and he did not have much qualification also. So devotees helped him to get a job where he could be settled. And he also reciprocated with them and did the needful. So when one becomes a devotee, then one has to take care of this also, that where is one working? Is it conducive or not? So like doing uh, taking jobs in too many passionate activities or too many activities which are in mode of ignorance will not help us in our development of Krishna consciousness. And therefore, as far as possible, we should do a job which will not hamper our Krishna conscious practices. Otherwise, if whole day we do some job which is not conducive, so when we chant our rounds and do something, our conscience will naturally drift toward that things, and that will not help us in our process of devotion service. And therefore, as far as possible, we should try. And if there are some uh, gray areas, we should discuss with our authorities and all and clear it out, because ultimately, at the end of our life, we should go back to Godhead. He may act exactly like the ignorant person who is too much attached to mental activities, but one is engaged in such activities for the satisfaction of his sense gratification, whereas the other is engaged for the satisfaction of Krishna. So actually, one may look same, that one is also cooking, the other is also cooking. One is also going to a job in IT company, the other is also going to a job in IT company. So we see there are so many doctors. We also have Bhakti in a hospital. So both actually they look same, treating the patient all. But if we see, it's vast of these ones. So one is working for satisfaction of Krishna, and others are working for satisfaction. So whatever money one get, where does one use? So if one is attached to satisfaction, he will use for gratification. But if one is devotee of Krishna, he will eat prasadam and he will go to different holy places. He will donate to a temple and doing so many things. So in this way, there's a lot of difference, and therefore, uh, one should think of what one does with the money one earns, with the fame one gets, with the reputation, all. So whatever one has to utilize for the service of Krishna. So somebody may be given some money that may be used. And sometimes one doesn't get the money, but one gets some position, some inflation position. So that can be also used for service of Krishna, to engage everybody for gradual development of Krishna consciousness. So this can be done, and that is the duty of one person to do, so that it helps other person to get out of his entitlement of the birth and death cycle. This is very important and very needed in this age, because we are acting like leaders in today's age. And even if one does not want, still one is put in that position. So therefore, one has to do the needful. So therefore, the Krishna conscious person is required to show the people how to act and how to engage the results of action for the purpose of Krishna consciousness. So the normal person may not know. So when one becomes Krishna conscious, one comes in devotional service, his responsibility increases tremendously, because now he is not representing himself, he is representing Krishna. And therefore, one need to engage in such a way, once the way one talks, the way one behaves in general and all, should be carefully observed and try to rectify as far as possible. Because we all come within culture which is not so conducive for spiritual consciousness. The language we speak, the food we eat, all was not conducive before, and therefore it needs to be checked and wherever needed, rectified. So uh, we should try to do as well. And then in verse number 26, it says that we should not disturb the person who does not have such knowledge. So we should not disturb such persons who are ignorant. Let us recite verse number 26. न बुद्धिभेदं जनयेत् अज्ञानं कर्म संगिनां जोयसेत् सर्वकर्माणि विद्वान् युक्त समाचरन्. Na, not buddhi-bhedam, deception of intelligence. Janayet, he should cause ajnanam of the foolish, karma sangina, who are attached to fruitive work. Joshet, he should dovetail, sarva, all karmani, work vidwan, a learned person, yukta, engaged, samachan, practicing. Translation. So as not to disturb the minds of ignorant men attached to the fruitive results of prescribed duties, a learned person should not induce them to stop work. Rather, by working the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness. So, when one comes to knowledge of Krishna consciousness and all that, one should not do this and this. So one should apply knowledge for himself, and one should not try to disturb the minds of ignorant people. So one should not instruct others that you like this and this, unless one is ready to hear, or one takes such a risk. Actually, devotees actually take such a risk actually of even telling others also. But generally it should not be done. So rather, by working the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities. So what one can do is, gradually one can engage in some activities where gradually that thing can be done, where one is engaged in devotional service. So purport, Vedesh Sarvar Ahamev Vedya, that is the end of all Vedic rituals. So all the Vedas are written with a singular purpose, that one can get liberated from the material world. This human form of life is meant for liberation from this material world and not for sense enjoyment. All rituals, all performance of sacrifices and everything that is put into the Vedas, including all direction for material activities, are meant for understanding Krishna, who is the ultimate goal of life. So whatever rituals are there, sacrifices are there, whatever is in Vedas, and all the material activities all there, are meant to understand Krishna. So Vedas include these materialities. Why? So that actually by doing according to Vedas, there will be some restrictions, there will be some purification happening while doing the material activities. If we do on our own whims, then what will happen is we will be entangled in the material activities, at the same time not progress to a spiritual life. But by following the Vedas, there will be some element which will help us to purify, and gradually we can move in spiritual life. But because the conditioned souls do not know anything beyond sense perception, they study the Vedas to that end. So what people do generally is they take all the benedictions or the conditions given by the Vedas and do not follow the restrictions or the rules given by the Vedas. So they take only the part, and therefore there is a problem. And they also try to then prove their point that see Vedas has told this. So Vedas has yes told to do some sanctification, but at the same time it has given some regulations also. So we need to do both. We cannot just take the only the sanctification part. Uh, but through the fruitive activities and sanctification regulated by the Vedic rituals, one is gradually elevated to Krishna consciousness. So by doing fruitive activities also and regulated sense gratification, so one is elevated to Krishna consciousness. Therefore, a realized soul in Krishna consciousness should not disturb others in their activities or understanding, but he should act by showing how the results of the all work can be dedicated to service of Krishna. So if somebody is advanced, what he'll do is not disturb the activities of work, but he will tell that, okay, out of 100 rupees which I earn, why don't you give 10 rupees to Krishna in his service? Or whatever you have, why don't you give something in kind if you mention? So like this, gradually, one will help others also to have some Agyat Sukriti or have some credit basket so that one is gradually developing his Krishna consciousness. The learned Krishna conscious person may act in such a way that the ignorant person working for sanctification may learn how to act and how to behave. So, if we are Krishna's devotees, then we should be acting exemplary, and therefore we should act in a way that other persons who are working for sanctification may know that that is not so good and should know how to behave. Although the ignorant person is not disturbed in his activities, us although the ignorant person is not to be disturbed in his activities, a slightly developed Krishna conscious person may directly be engaged in the service of the Lord without waiting for other Vedic formulas. So generally, uh, we don't preach Krishna consciousness to new people. But if somebody has some inclination, somewhere slightly developed Krishna consciousness, then one can directly start devotion service. And you should not go for further formulas and everything because this may be good for him. For this fortunate man, there is no need to follow Vedic rituals because by direct Krishna consciousness, one can have all the results one would otherwise derive from following one's prescribed duties. So if one just chants Hare Krishna mantra or any other mantra like Ram ji or Radha ji or whatever it is, then he will get all the uh, benefits of all the Vedic literatures. So he will not further go, and therefore, gradually we should try that Agyat Sukriti is being built for everybody. So this may happen by distributing of prasadam. So one eats prasadam and one glorifies by some good music in the form of kirtan. So one may hear this kirtan and may glorify, oh, what a good kirtan, what a music. So like this, different activities can be performed. Like we have Vrindavan, mini Vrindavan in Goaniko village. So many people come and they see that, oh, it's a nice place. So like this, they are glorifying this place. And in this way, Agyat Sukriti is gradually built. So in further times, if they come again and again, they will become devotees of Krishna. So therefore, one should try to do his bit and then follow things. So this from verse number 27 is another section where the ignorant person actually he thinks that he himself is the doer. So actually in this material world we see that we desire Lord's sanctions and the material world fulfills the things. But because of the ignorance now, we think that we are doing things, but the things are carried by the three modes of material nature. So this is in verse number 27. So let us see this verse number 27. Prakrite kriyamanani gunakarmani sarvacha ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. Prakrite of material nature, kriyamanani being done, gune, by the modes, karmani, activities, sarvasha, all kinds of, ahankara vimuda, bewildered by false ego, atma, the spirit soul, karta, doer, I, iti, thus, manite, things. The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by three modes of material nature. So, spirit soul means we, and the false ego means thinking what is not true. So, this body is actually not true. It will be wiped away, but we think that we are this body. And therefore, we think that we are doers of activities. We are doing all things, but actually, it is carried by three modes of material nature. And this is very important thing for us to know, because when somebody shouts at us, somebody treats us ill, then we should understand that person is not doing. Actually, the three modes are doing this from him. And therefore, we should never ever blame the person for the wrong which he does. At the same time, we should take care that we are not affected by that things. So both ways we should understand. So two persons, one in Krishna consciousness, another in material consciousness, working on the same level, may appear to be working on the same platform, but there is a wide gulf of difference in their respective positions. So the activity may be same, but for whom the activity is be done will make the whole difference. And therefore, one is doing the activity for Krishna, then it's devotion, and if one is not doing work for Krishna, then it is material activity. So therefore, there is a wide gulf of difference. The person in material consciousness is convinced by false ego that he is the doer of everything. He does not know that the mechanism of the body is produced by material nature, which works under supervision of Supreme Lord. The materialistic person has no knowledge that ultimately is under the control of Krishna. So it's very important for us to know that actually we are never the controllers. So in this material world, we say we want liberty, we want liberation, and we do think according to what our mind says and all. Actually, we cannot be liberated, or we are bound by the material body. And if somebody says that I will do what my mind likes, then the mind will take us to a tour and will never come to a conclusion. So therefore, nobody is free in this material world. The materialist person has no knowledge that he ultimately is under the control of Krishna. So directly or indirectly, one is under the control of Krishna. The person in false ego takes all credit for doing everything independently, and that is a symptom of his science. So one who doesn't have true knowledge will think that I have done everything. But if we see all the raw materials produced given by this material nature, sun, heat, light, and all the minerals required. If you want to make the building, the cement and all, actually is given by Krishna only through the material nature. So therefore, if one takes all the credit, then it is wrong. He is foolish. So one can take only 20% of the credit for doing the work. Other 80% goes to different activities. So this is discussed in chapter number 18, where we'll see. He does not know that his gross and subtle body is a creation of material nature under the order of Supreme Personality Godhead, and as such, his bodily and mental activities should be engaged in the service of Krishna in Krishna consciousness. So, because this body is made of material nature and is supplied by Krishna, therefore we should use whatever strength we have, bodily, mental. If we have some money, if we have some words, if we have some power, we should use for Krishna, because everything is given by Krishna. In caution, the ignorant one forgets that the Supreme Personality of God is known as Rishikesh, or the master of the senses of the material body. For due to his being long mistress of sense and sense gratification, he is factually bewildered by the false ego, which makes him forget his eternal relationship with Krishna. So, uh, this is the position of a person who is ignorant of the self. And this happens because long ago, time in different bodies, we are used to different sense gratification, and therefore uh, we forget our relation with Krishna, and there is a problem. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna.